Well, there's a lot of people saying that the student loan debt is really going to be the next financial crisis in our country. I mean, we now have more student loan debt out there than we have credit card debt. It's bigger. What students own from loans they got to college is now bigger than the credit card debt. And the credit card debt is what sunk us in the economy before. But now banks are getting tighter on the credit card debt. Normal credit card debt. So it's harder to get loans and things like that. But on student loan debt, it's not. See, people giving you the student loan debt, the colleges and stuff, they don't have any income requirements. They don't have any crime. Why? Because the government is going to pay them back if you don't. So they're never going to tighten the screws when people aren't paying their back. And that's why, you see, data now is that student loan delinquencies, people who don't pay their student loan debt, that's soaring. And people who don't pay their other personal debt is decreasing. See, so this is becoming a big problem, and it's going to just grow, until something happens, a burst or whatever. I'm not smart enough to know what's going to happen, but something bad, Now, another interesting thing about student loan debt, see, it has changed why people borrow money for college. I mean, the Federal Reserve Board talks about a study that before 2009, people who had student loans bought more homes than people who didn't. See, their income was better and getting money to do things and buy cars and buy homes. They were buying more homes, buying cars and things like that. So increasing the economy if they had student loan debt. Now that's changed. People who have student loan debt are less likely to buy a home. They're less likely to buy a car. They have bad credit scores. And they're more likely to be living with their parents. So the whole ball game just changed. And I think that's why we live in the past. We think these things that happened 20 years ago are still happening, and they're not. So delinquencies are increasing. And the whole debt situation is increasing. And so what do you do if you're one of those people with debt? Well, don't go and Google student loan debt, because you're just going to get hit with people who want to sell you money. And you want to know your facts first. What do you do with this? What are your options? Because under certain circumstances, you could get your loans forgiven, you could get them, canceled temporarily or discharged and things like that. And don't have some salesman explain this to you. If you Google, federal student aid, loan forgiveness, and look, you're going to get a whole bunch of things on the page, but look for the websites that have .gov. G-O-V. You want .gov, because they're the people with the real facts. The other people are, stealing like me and selling them to you. But they're going to sell you money too. So you don't want to do any of that stuff before you go to a .gov, and explains it all there, when you can get it forgiven and things like that. And the other thing is, don't go into hock, don't go to these private or the universities that are for profit, because they're making money. 90% of their money comes from government money, and you're going to be stuck for it, and the government's paying for it. This is another reason why the big debt bubble, why it's growing so much, because the government subsidizes it. So anything the government subsidizes, like mortgages and things like that, it's going to grow. So that's what you have to worry about, and there are the facts. So Google student, what was that again? Student aid loan forgiveness, and look for the .govs.